Hello, and welcome to Journey of the Sound, a music podcast for music people. My name's Jared Rocco. I'm a musician, composer, and most importantly, a music fan. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you'll enjoy what we've got for you today. The goal of this podcast is to interview as many musicians as possible and listen to their stories about how music first came into their lives, how it affects them today, and where they hope music takes them into the future. This is Journey of the Sound. And today, I have the lovely Ava Heatley in the studio with me. Ava is a pianist, a vocalist, singer-songwriter. Welcome to the show, Ava.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Were those all accurate descriptions? Is there anything else you play?
Yeah, no, not. No. It's
No,
pretty
just-
much piano. I know like a little guitar, but not enough to even come close to saying that I'm a guitarist.
It's all good. It's all good. You could always, there's still time.
Yeah, exactly. The rest of my life to learn
Yes,
guitar.
exactly. Cool. Well, we're actually, before we go to the future, we're going to go to the past.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from. We kind of went over what you play, but how you got introduced to music, basically.
So I'm from Warwick, New York. It's not upstate New York. Everyone from the city is like, it's
sure.
upstate New York, but
Yeah.
it's like an hour out from here, from Purchase.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's like a little apple town. It's very
Nice.
fall centered. It's beautiful
Perfect
town.
for this
I love
time
it.
of year.
Yeah, exactly. I guess I started. Like, my family's very musical. My dad plays piano a lot, and he's been in bands like his whole life. And then his mom played piano, and then my aunt, my cousins, and everybody always played piano. And it was always kind of like a fun family thing that has always been around. My mom's, she writes a lot. She's good at writing and very creative.
Okay.
So it's kind of funny that I ended up being, no, not music, just
Not music,
like
okay.
words.
Right, okay.
So it is kind of funny that I ended up being a songwriter because it's literally just like my dad plays
combination,
piano,
yeah.
my mom likes to write stuff.
And boom.
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
You.
Yeah, so I guess it started from that. I think a lot of like singing started. It's just kind of like a lot of people I feel have this past, but like church choir sort of thing.
Yeah,
I guess
definitely.
that's like the first time I'd like actually sang in front of people, like in a church experience. But very young, I got interested in like musical theater, which is kind of
Awesome.
where where the actual like performing came
That's where it started.
into play. Yeah.
Was that like your first performances, where it was through musical theater?
Yeah, definitely. Before I started like playing and like or even writing, it was like when I was very little. When I was like, elementary school, like fourth, fifth grade. It was like I want to do musical theater. I want to be in every production
play.
I can. Yeah, exactly. So that started pretty early. Yeah.
Very cool. And what kind of music did you have growing up around the house? I'm assuming your parents probably played a lot of music.
Yeah, so my mom is like the biggest Elton John fan that's ever lived.
Nice.
So I'm very thankful for that because I was exposed to Elton John very early. And my dad is very New Jersey Bruce Springsteen man. So it was
there you
all
go.
Bruce Springsteen and Elton John are kind of what I remember being like my parents. Like, they were into a lot of different stuff, but
Those are like the cornerstone artists.
yeah, pretty like those are the people that they would tell me when they were young. They were the ones that they'd like lock themselves in their bedroom and listen to, and
On actual records, too.
yeah, exactly. So, that's that was like the main. And then there's like my mom loved Billy Joel, and so did my dad, and my dad loved like Steely Dan and all like that sort of thing. So, yeah,
All from the same era,
yeah, exactly. So yeah, I was
It was a
very
good time
fortunate.
for music, too.
Yeah.
Back then, 70s.
Yeah.
Cool. What was like your first musical memory when you were growing up, if you had to pick one?
Okay. Well, one thing about my memories, like I rarely remember anything beyond like 2 years ago, which is like really bad. But
It happens.
I guess I remember like the first actual like play or musical I was in. I did Oklahoma in 5th grade.
Okay.
And I played the old lady character. I don't know if
I'm
you're
not
familiar
familiar
with the
with it,
show,
no.
but anyone who is, I played Ann Eller, who's like the old woman. She's literally the grandmother.
Okay.
And I just remember having so much fun with that part because I was always cast as parts that couldn't dance because I can't dance. So I always got like a part which
The
I
old
loved
woman who
because I was
can't
like, yeah,
dance.
I'll sing. I don't want to dance.
Right.
But so I guess that's like my first actual memory. There was stuff before that, but I don't remember it
Probably just
that well.
music around the house. You're just walking around.
And we did it in like our high school auditorium, and I was only in fifth grade, so it was kind of like, whoa, this stage is huge, and there's so many people here. And
it's a big deal for a kid.
Yeah,
back then,
and there was like a pit orchestra, and which is
wow.
I mean, when you're in fifth grade, that just seems
That's
like
pro, man.
It's so much, because it just seems like the biggest thing in the world.
Sure. That's an important experience, I feel like, when you're that young and so impressionable, to have something like that and be like, whoa, I'm part of this thing that's bigger than me, and there's all these people coming together to do something really amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got to have a pretty big impact on you, I imagine.
Yeah, totally. Like, I loved going to rehearsal. Like, rehearsals are like my favorite things.
Really?
It was like early Saturday mornings. I was like, yeah, I can't wait. And then, like,
were you an early riser? You an early bird?
Not now. No.
Not now.
I mean, I force myself sometimes, but I don't even know if as a kid, but if it was like something that I was into, I remember being really excited about, practicing and going to and seeing everybody and going running through the songs and
I can't imagine everyone was like that though. There's always a few stinkers in there who are they don't really want to be there, but they're kind of forced to be there. Cool. So how did you learn how to play music, or how to sing rather? Did you start taking private lessons? Were you self-taught?
Yeah, singing, I started taking singing lessons first, I think. When I started I would just sing around the house constantly. And I think my parents were like, you want to take singing lessons? Like that sort of thing. And I was like, sure. And I think maybe it was like third, fourth grade, something around there. I started taking lessons. And then we had like a little keyboard in my house, and I started just like figuring out songs. And I mean, like simple, like Mary Had a Little Lamb. And my dad had always played piano, so he was like, oh, like you should start taking lessons in that too. So I think it kind of started around the same time that I did both. And all my singing teachers were like, you should definitely learn to play piano if you're going to sing, because that's how you learn to sing stuff. You pluck it out of the piano.
Exactly.
So
you can figure out what notes you're singing.
Yeah, exactly. So those two things happened around the same time. So I definitely, I think it was pretty much like third, fourth grade when I started getting like formal training for that.
Cool. And then how were those piano lessons and vocal lessons? Did you like them initially? Were they kind of a struggle, or?
I really liked, I think my singing lessons I always really liked. It was always almost like therapeutic. Like you just go and do your warm-ups, and then you'd sing your song. And then like I always looked forward to my singing lessons. And I think in the beginning piano I did too. But then this is going to sound so bad, but I just wanted to learn different types of music. Like after a while of doing like some classical music and some that sort of thing, I was just like, but I want to learn to play what everyone, like what
Pop
I hear.
songs
Yeah, like that sort of thing. Or
more contemporary stuff.
So what would happen is I would practice that and learn other songs and like kind of
instead
like
of what you had to practice.
Yeah, or make up songs and not practice what I was supposed to be practicing for my lessons, which kind of like defeated the point of taking
Like, I'm sure that irritated
back,
your teachers.
Yeah, I mean, looking back,
too.
I wish I did like practice that stuff more, because it, obviously helps your abilities.
Getting the fundamentals down.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but I didn't see. I was just like, oh my gosh, I want to learn this other stuff, and.
Now, were your teachers open to teaching you that other stuff, or were they more traditional? Were like, all right, you need to do this stuff?
Yeah, I had very traditional teachers that did do that, which is, I mean, like extremely important. So I just had to go outside of that to figure out anything new. And my dad actually helped me a lot with that, because he learned to play entirely by ear, and then only started taking lessons like as an adult, like after I was born, like probably even after I did, like a long time after. So that was really fun and helpful to get like someone who has been learning by ear how to learn by ear, like that sort of thing.
Well, that's kind of cool. You've got the two different sides. You've got the traditional side with your private lessons, and then you've got the sort of unorthodox by ear side with your dad.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. And then it was like, whenever I did want to learn like a pop song, I don't want to play the melody in the right hand. I want to sing the melody, which was another thing that was like when you're teaching, I understand this more now that I teach piano, but it's kind of like, yeah, of course you're going to learn to play the melody. But I was like, why would I ever do that if I'm going to sing it? I want to learn the piano part so I can accompany myself.
Sure.
So it was hard to find.
Smart from an early age, figuring that out. You were arranging already.
Yeah, well, it was kind of, so a lot of that I did on my own, but I couldn't have done it without taking the years of piano lessons that I did. Because I think it fizzled out in high school. Like, I mean, when I started applying to college, and it just got to be.
You stopped taking lessons around then?
Yeah, because I guess the stuff that I was doing because I had to start applying to here, which was like, write your own stuff and record that. And I was like, I don't have time to practice my Bach while I'm trying to do that. So it kind of just slowly fizzled out around my senior year.
Okay. Now you were never, you knew you wanted to go to college for music initially?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I didn't know there was a program for like songwriting that came as a surprise, but there's not much else I am that interested in or can really do. So it was
That's
pretty
your craft.
much, that was pretty much what I was thinking. Yeah.
Okay. And you never were interested or wanted to do like the performance aspect of it, or the classical side, or a jazz side, or like, because a lot of colleges have that. We're like, okay, you can come here for music, but you're going to play classical music, or you're going to play jazz.
No, I mean, I think when I was little, I'm very idealistic. I was like, I'll go for theater. I want to be a theater.
Right.
But I mean, looking at it now, it's like, Ava, you don't dance. You don't you could never go to a theater conservatory. That's insane. And then once I started playing and singing songs, I was like, I'd like this better anyway. It wasn't even like I was sad about that, but that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah. That's cool. And now, when did you start to branch off from the traditional classical stuff in your lessons? Was that right away? You're like, I want to do pop stuff, or was it a few years and then gradually you're like, oh, but there's this other music out there?
No, it honestly probably wasn't till middle school, late middle school, I guess, 7th or 8th grade. We had this thing in my middle school called Guitar Club, which was, nice. I didn't join the first year because I was like, oh, it's for guitarists. I don't know what it is, which was me being
I'm a piano
stupid.
player.
Yeah, exactly. But then it was basically just this thing where one of, a few of my teachers put together, and they weren't music teachers. They were an English teacher, a science teacher, and they just loved music. They're, to this day, best teachers I ever had. And
so cool.
For music, and they weren't music teachers, but they, they'd put together bands and songs. So it'd be okay, we auditioned all these drummers, these pianists, these vocalists, and you people are going to play Carry On My Wayward Son or some random oldie song.
Cool.
And it was, it was awesome. It was so cool. So that was kind of the first time I was like, wow, I really like doing this. So I learned to play and sing Sarah Bareilles' Love Song, because that was around the time when it came out.
It's a great piano song.
Yeah,
a lot of keyboards.
Well, hearing that song, that was the first time I ever heard a woman, as a young person, a current woman who had written her own music and was just the beginning of the song is just piano and vocal. That's it. And I was like, oh my God, I can
do this.
I know. I was like, this is the best thing I've ever heard. Wow. I must have been 12 or 13, and I was like, I want to do that. This sounds amazing.
Wow.
That song, I think, really inspired me to start actually be wow, I can actually do it. I can do this thing. Yeah, exactly. Because it was so cool. So that song was the first one I guess I've ever actually performed and played at the same time. And with
so you went on to learn it too.
Yeah.
To sing it and play
yeah. The second I heard it on some one of those Rhapsody commercials, I think is where it premiered.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
and I was it was just the piano part and then the beginning of the song, and I was like, I have to learn how to play that song. That's amazing.
There you go.
And again, my dad helped me out because some of the chords I didn't know at the time, and we just figured it out. And then I went to my teachers and I was like, hey, so I learned this one song, and I played it for them, and they're like, great, let's put it in the program. Let's do it.
Oh,
so
awesome. In the Guitar Club.
Yeah, exactly. So that was probably the best experience that could bring me into, even though it's not songwriting, it's, performing other songwriters. Because I don't know what other outlet I would have had to do that, because it had always been in chorus or in theater. That's where you perform. And then this was kind of the first time where it was no, you're just going to play piano and sing in front of everybody. And, and then there's a drummer, which was, something
cool.
new.
So it's a band.
Yeah, they set up a bunch of different bands, which was really
cool.
awesome. Yeah.
Did you ever have recitals or anything for your piano lessons? Is there any way to perform?
I don't think I had piano recitals. I had voice recitals. But
see, that's weird. That's interesting.
Yeah,
I
actually looking
for that kind of stuff too. Even if it is classical or more traditional stuff.
Yeah, no, I never had piano recitals, but I had voice recitals where I'd sing classical, whatever. But,
no, that's interesting to me, because I wonder if that had an effect on you to the point where, again, you said you were kind of leaning more towards more contemporary stuff. I wonder if you had recitals and played classical music and gotten the appreciation from people and the response from that if you would have taken a slightly different path.
Yeah, maybe. I really don't know, because I never bonded with it the way that I bonded with like music, with lyrics and putting like a person behind it and a feeling and that sort of thing. But yeah.
Cool. Now, when did you write your first song?
I guess my first completed song, awful song, was probably written like when I was like 13.
Okay.
So I guess it was like between like middle school, high school, like that weird little limbo you're in.
Yeah, middle school is
time.
forever awkward.
Yeah, exactly. So that's when I started writing.
Okay, that's pretty young, I gotta say. 13 years old, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of seemed, I mean, it was not good. It was all awful stuff. It was like stuff I'd never want to.
Is there recordings of that anywhere?
Oh God, I hope not. I don't think
People
so.
can go back and find, like, look at this.
Yeah, no.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
you're safe.
Thankful. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I guess that's when it started.
That was cool. What's the first song? Do you remember what it was called or what it was about or what inspired it?
I don't remember that much about it, but I do remember I rhymed the word easy with cheesy. And I don't remember the context, but I remember that specifically. Mm-hmm. And I used to have little notebooks, and I never played like anybody that song, like even like my parents. There was like a time when I would start playing stuff for my parents, and it wasn't that stuff never made it to other ears besides my own. But yeah.
But you continued on writing from there. You know, you didn't stop. It wasn't like, this sucks.
That's true. Yeah, I guess that's
that was kind of a springboard.
Yeah, exactly.
You must have liked the writing process enough to keep going.
Yeah, I did. I enjoyed taking like a feeling and just putting it into like a nice little thought in like 2 or 3 minutes. Like that was like really appealing to me, because I really enjoy the organization of songwriting, which is kind of like weird to say because there are so many chaotic elements to it, and like the creative process can be very chaotic when it just kind of comes to you in spurts. But
then you organize that. You kind of take, it's like organized chaos. In a way.
Exactly. And I always liked the idea of like, okay, this is the feeling I have. How am I going to get it out in 4 minutes? And it's kind of like that's concise. Like that restriction always kind of like.
You like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it really challenged me in the beginning, because it is hard to figure out what you're trying to say. And I feel like that's something that I've gotten better at, especially being at school and doing that. Because when you're younger, when I was like 13, I was like, I feel all this stuff. And it's like, okay, you can't like write all of that stuff in one song. Like this, like the material or the ideas you have in this song could be 15 different songs. So it's kind of like, you gotta
organize it.
Yeah. So I've really enjoyed, I mean, I guess from forever, I've really enjoyed that.
Awesome. That's very cool. Let's talk about some of your influences here. You mentioned Elton John. You mentioned Billy Joel. Are there any other ones? Who are some of your like biggest influences?
Yeah, I'd say my those two are obviously a huge influence. Ben Folds is probably my biggest. I love him.
You got to meet him.
I did get to meet him. Oh my gosh, it was the best moment of my life. It was at one of his shows, and I was like so nervous, and I couldn't speak, and because I was just like, I think I told him, I was like, you're the reason I write songs, and I don't even remember the moment to be to be completely honest, but I mean, it was just amazing, because he, like, when I was younger and was thinking about like pop music and rock music, I remember telling my parents like, well, I can't do that because I don't play guitar, like I'm not a guitarist, and I don't want to play guitar, I like the piano, and that's when my parents were like, you can play rock music on the piano, and that's when they opened all these doors of like, listen to this Elton John song and listen to Ben Folds, and I remember the first Ben Folds album they played for me, Whatever and Ever Amen, which has changed my life, because I was like, oh, I get it. You can bang on a piano and you can write songs about real things, and like,
and with a band too, it doesn't have to be solo.
Yeah, exactly. Because I feel like you also imagine a piano always being like a ballad or like a beautiful, I don't know. And it was just like,
but it's got a sharp attack to it. You know? It's a percussive instrument.
Yeah, and I was when I was younger, just like narrow-minded about that. Like, I'm not playing an electric guitar. It's not a rock song. And it's like, nope, not true. Yeah.
Let me sit you down. We're going to play some records for you.
Yeah,
we're going to blow your mind.
Yeah. So that really inspired me. And then again, the Sarah Bareilles, when she came out, because that was around the time when I was starting to play piano and write songs. So I was like, oh, here's like a girl writing her own songs and playing the piano. Like, this is exactly what I'd like to do. And other influences.
Were they mainly piano? It sounds like it's mainly pianists. Were there ever any people that inspired you that weren't on piano? Or maybe just singers, since that's what you started on?
Yeah.
Okay,
here we go. This is like a big thing. I'm thinking about like when I was really young. I mean, like Avril Lavigne, like her first album.
Wow,
Are you familiar with that at all?
Yeah.
That was like, again, it was like being little and being like, this girl wrote all this stuff. And it's like, who knows if that was actually completely true, but that's what was being told. And it was kind of like, this is awesome. Like, this is her. And honestly, it did feel like a 17-year-old girl, like talking when you listen to the record. So
I'm sure that was on purpose. It's all marketing.
Exactly.
Now looking back, but hey, it did the job.
I know.
And you're here now and you're
well,
a singer-songwriter.
It was always really cool to me that it's like, she was like, like Michelle Branch and Vanessa Carlton, all those girls that were like, I was in like first grade and I was like, they're all playing instruments and writing their songs.
Right,
and that was kind of like, that was just so cool for me to see.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I answered your question.
Yes.
But
well, I mean, we didn't think of, those are still piano. Well, Avril Lavigne plays guitar.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to remember.
Well, you said Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
He's obviously guitar.
Yeah.
Now, you said that's your dad's influence. Is that yours as well? Do you like Bruce Springsteen?
Yeah, I do. I listened to Mason's
I was going to say, in our last episode of Journey of the Sound,
like
Mason is not a fan of Bruce Springsteen.
He's not. Which, that's fine. We can fight later. But
it's all good. No, I think his reason was mainly for his voice, I think, somewhere around there. But, he's also credited with being a really inspirational songwriter, kind of coming from the blue collar, kind of the working man ethic and stuff, and he puts that sort of attitude in his songs.
I mean, I think he's an amazing writer. Like, his lyrics I'm really like, and just the simplicity of like, he just has some melodies that are just so like I feel like Bruce Springsteen is one of the only artists that I just like get so emotional when I listen to him and I can't explain why. And I think it might have to do with the fact that it is like so connected to like my parents and my childhood. And I just feel so nostalgic. And I'm like, oh, Bruce Springsteen. And it reminds me of like my aunts and my uncles and like, all that stuff.
So it puts you back in a certain
so I think that also like ties into it. But I mean, I think he's like a wonderful writer. And I just love, I don't know. And seeing him live is like a whole experience.
To see him live.
Yeah, I've seen, because of my dad, I've seen him a million times. And I just saw him this summer and it was like probably the best time I've seen him. He played for 4 hours. I mean, like,
oh my God,
who does that? I mean, especially like he's been doing this forever. He doesn't need to do that. He's 65?
He could go out and play an hour and a half and people would still pay money for that.
I know. And it's amazing. And he's so like attentive to his fans and to what people want. And it's just,
He's a good front man.
Oh, totally. So yeah, I definitely am a Bruce Springsteen fan.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what about people today? Who or what are you listening to right now? Any new people?
Any new people?
And by new, I mean new for you. It doesn't have to necessarily be new artists today, but anyone you've recently discovered within the past few months?
I'm so bad. I stay in my old, like in the same stuff.
The same circle of people.
Regina Spektor just put out a new album though a few weeks ago.
Oh, that's right.
And so it's not a new person, but new music. It's fantastic.
That counts. That's totally valid.
It's really good. So I've been listening to that like crazy.
And she's also another female piano singer-songwriter.
Yeah, I know. I'm realizing a pattern in what I like to listen to.
It's cool. It makes sense though, because you can kind of see where you came from and what your influences were, and you can kind of see how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, I definitely do stick to what I like, because there's something different about listening to songs you already know, where like with all that, and then listening to something you've never heard before. So it kind of depends on what you're in the mood for, like something new or something you already know. I'm really interested in this woman. She's an Australian singer-songwriter who I didn't learn about her this year. I've known about her for a while, but her name's Kate Miller Heidke, and she's like also an opera singer and an amazing songwriter.
Wow. Okay.
And her and her husband have this like duo together, and she writes amazing like pop songs. She's a pianist and he plays guitar, and they're like pop oriented. So it's not exactly piano singer songwriter, but she's someone that I've been so influenced by because of the way she writes and the way she uses her voice. She like sings opera in the middle of her songs, like as like an instrument. And I was like any innovative thing like that, I'm like, that's amazing. I'll
really
listen to that any day. But
yeah, how did you find out about her?
She opened for Ben Folds when I saw him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I remember, and when I saw that, I was like, this is incredible. Yeah. And then I've just kept up with her on Facebook and everything. And since then, I've been following what she released.
Yeah, listening to her all albums.
Yeah.
Now, my next question for you is kind of funny because you kind of answered part of it already, but if you could be/meet any musician or be in any band,
Who
would it be?
Ooh.
You know, I know you've already met Ben Folds,
yeah.
so I'm sure that would have been on the list.
Yeah,
if
so
you
that would be it.
Hadn't met him. B, meet, or be in any band. I know we've kind of been mentioning mostly solo artists, but
yeah,
bands are also fair game.
I guess someone I really would like to meet and talk to, again, probably Sarah Bareilles, just because, especially since she's written this musical now, I feel like there's so many.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, she just wrote a musical. It's on Broadway, and I really like the music. So, I mean, like, I've only heard her, like, album version. I have never heard the...
Haven't heard it live.
Yeah, well, she recorded an album of her doing some of the songs and, like, her sort of take on
more
it.
Like
so
a traditional record.
Yeah, and it's really cool, but I haven't heard, like, the Broadway record yet, or the Broadway version of the songs. So I think she's someone that would be really interesting to talk to, because she's also stayed really like true to her music, I think, and done what she's wanted to do. Like, she hasn't really been steered.
I mean, that's kind of what Love Song was all about,
yeah,
right? Like,
exactly.
people kind of, it was either a record company person or a producer, or someone was saying you need to write a catchy love song to get you a hit.
Yeah.
And then she's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then she wrote a song about that, and it ended up being like her biggest hit.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is kind of funny.
Yeah, and she just, I just really love, and I love the way she plays the piano, and her, like, she's someone I would definitely...
A day in the life
love.
of
Yeah,
Sarah Bareilles.
Exactly. Yeah, I would love to see, and now that she's, like, in Broadway halfway, I'm
I
like,
was gonna say, that's totally your world, too.
Yeah, that's just such a cool person
it's
to
like a hybrid,
shout out for a day. Yeah.
Dipping her toes in a few different places.
Yeah, totally.
Well, are there any artists or bands that took you a while to get into that you like now, but maybe initially weren't so keen to listen to or even hated?
Well, this isn't exactly answering your question, but I feel like a lot of people our age have grown up listening to the Beatles, but I was never like grown up on, like, not that I disliked them, I just wasn't, like, my parents were into other stuff and they liked the Beatles, but that was never the record playing in my house.
Okay, sure.
So I feel like that's really interesting, because most songwriters are like, oh yeah, like, I know every Beatles song, and it has taken me a long time to
get into the
and I'm
catalog.
still not even in it, just because I wasn't, like, raised on it like a lot of other people were.
Sure, yeah.
So, and that wasn't me like, I hate this, and then like becoming, it's just, I was unfamiliar with it.
You weren't aware of it as much,
it wasn't a thing that was, I've always known who the Beatles were, and I always knew they were like this amazing thing, but it wasn't like a constantly played thing in my house. So
it could be good though. You didn't get sick of it, you know. There's definitely some kids who probably got turned off from the Beatles just because they heard it so much, and like, my parents' old crappy music.
Yeah, and it is cool because now there's like a ton of stuff I could listen to, and
it's too much.
Not,
the Beatles is
exactly. And now I like discovered new stuff now that I didn't discover when I was like 8, and when everybody else did. So,
was there a certain point where you kind of got turned on to the Beatles, and you're like, oh, like, I've always known about them, but now I'm actually listening to them?
Nothing is specific. I guess just like high school, just like growing up and having people be like, this song, and then especially being in college, because now it's like the songwriter is like, well, listen to this song. Yeah. So it was just when I was older, which I feel like is kind of strange with the Beatles, because they're such a from birth to death kind of thing. Like your whole life, the Beatles are going to be there. But,
no, that's cool. That makes it interesting.
Yeah.
What's one of your least favorite artists or bands out there that maybe other people are familiar with?
I mean,
you're not a hateful person.
No, well, the thing is, like, I feel like it's so easy to be like, I hate this simple pop stuff or something, but I don't exactly feel that way, just because I feel like that's its own world and its own skill. And yes, it's different than like, I mean, I don't know if I could do it. If I could write like a top
100
yeah,
kind of thing.
Like, I mean, I think it's just as hard to write a really amazing, catchy song with 4 chords than, like, because it's like everybody's expecting it. You have to make it interesting somehow, which is one reason that, like, a lot of people tend to hate on Taylor Swift, but I'm like, hey, the girl's been using the same, like, chord structures forever, and she just keeps cranking out hits, and they're all different, and they're all, like, I don't know. So it's kind of like I don't know. I wouldn't
tough
say
to
there's an
criticize.
artist. Yeah, and also if I don't like an artist, I just don't listen to them, and then I never actively hate anybody.
Yeah.
But
Tell that to all the people in the YouTube comments section. It's
Yeah,
like, why are you
I
commenting
know.
on this if you hate this?
no, you just turn it off, and you're like, oh, that's not my cup of tea. Like that's
Right,
just I'm just like
exactly.
I wouldn't listen to this, but I'm sure someone will. That's the kind of like where I am, where I'm like, this isn't my favorite type of music, but there's someone out there that loves
true.
this thing. So who am I to say? It's so objective. It's like who am I to
Totally.
be like this person's awful? It's
Right.
like it's all different things. Like I mean, I never got into like soundscapey music, but it's
like ambient stuff.
yeah, I don't listen to it, so
Right.
that's why. Like it's just kind of, but I wouldn't say I hate it or dislike it.
Sure,
I just
sure.
it's not my thing.
Not your thing.
Yeah, I try to be as open minded as I can because I feel like cutting yourself off is just
Right.
not
You
the
wanna
best
take
for
in
you.
as much influence from as
Yeah,
many
and
areas
though
as
I'm
you
never
can.
gonna write that sort of thing, it's like you might as well accept it.
Yeah,
And
well, you can. That's always the cool thing is incorporating like little elements from other styles. And you're like, here's traditional pop song, but hey, we're gonna throw in this weird ambient guitar or whatever, or some jazz trumpets or something like that.
Yeah.
something out of left field.
yeah,
You know,
why not?
cool. That's good that you're open minded like that. Why don't we get into some of your music now? You have an EP out. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, right now I released this summer a live album from a show I had at the Bitter End in February.
Okay.
And I'm currently in the process of recording a new EP. So
Okay.
it's not out yet.
Cool. How's that going so far?
Good so far. We literally just started yesterday, like it's actual tracking, but that's kind of I'm really excited because it's you lay down the bedding and then you can just go anywhere. So it's really nice to have all these freedoms and
Yeah. Now we were talking a little bit before we started recording about how you're tracking some of it live, correct?
Yeah.
With piano-based drums. Right?
yeah, that's gonna be a live thing.
And why don't you tell our listeners again what you told me? Why did you decide to do that instead of doing one instrument at a time and just overdubbing?
Yeah, well, I feel like just the way I've been writing my entire life has been there's always been room to breathe in a lot of my songs and performing, and I feel like I've also always been partial to performing as opposed to recording. Like I've never written a song and thought about the recording of
Right,
it.
the
It's always
production.
it's
So
always
this would
been
have a
like
great slap echo on it or something.
yeah, and like some people do, but
Sure.
I don't. I like that's just not how I've always been like, oh, when I perform this, it's gonna be like this.
Right,
or
right,
I can
right.
slow down here. And then, when you have tempo changes and stuff, that's not the most recording friendly
Right.
thing.
Your
So-
engineer's like, oh god.
yeah, exactly. So when we were recording, there was this one song that we just, it was taking a while. We were trying to get it like totally in the pocket, and we put a click on, and then we did that, and that was just not the answer, which
Right.
for most, I think it's like, yeah, put a click on, it'll
Yep,
be
sure.
fine.
Keep it
but
steady.
yeah, but this was like, the issue was like one part needed to be completely locked in, and the other part needed to just be like us just like feeling each other. And then it ended up being great just because it was like that's how I heard it when it happened.
Right.
And I wasn't necessarily thinking like I'm gonna slow down right here. It just kind of happens naturally, and it's not even like a detectable like tempo change or something like
Right.
that. So, and I just really like the live feeling of playing with
right,
other
that's what you're
people because
saying.
you get to look at the drummer and be like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
get louder
Or, like,
now.
dig in right now.
Yeah,
or, like,
exactly.
You
And
feed
you
off of each other's energy.
yeah, and stuff even that when you were like rehearsing didn't come out, just comes
Right.
out in like a take. And
That's the best stuff, man.
Yeah.
When the magic happens.
oh yeah,
you know?
exactly. So, and I mean, I'm so lucky to like have met so many talented people here and just like completely trust them and be like, okay, do your, like, this is what I want to sound like, do your thing. And it's really nice to have that happen because then you just, it becomes so easy.
That's cool. Now, besides this EP and the live EP or album, are there any other things that people can check out if they want to hear some more of your music, or is this like the first official record thing, or you have any like demos that you've released before?
Yeah, there's a lot of Bandcamp stuff, which
Okay.
has been like, I mean, there's like an album from high school that I did, and then there's, let me think, I think a single that I recorded here, and then I'm trying to think of everything on my Bandcamp page now.
And what's just Ava Heatley on Bandcamp?
Or
if
Ava
people
Rae
want to look
Heatley.
this up.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. And then what about you got SoundCloud or YouTube?
YouTube, Facebook.
All the usual places.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty
Twitter.
much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
All those things. Those
All
little
for your
like-
music specifically?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like it's very. I mean, I like post a lot of stuff on both because it's like this is like a part of who I am, and also the music. I don't know. So it's all kind of. I mean, the YouTube is not just me like being me. It's pretty much my music.
Right.
But,
sure. It's like random vlogs. Going to get a sandwich today. It's windy, 73 degrees.
No. But yeah, so all that stuff you can.
That's cool.
Look it up.
That kind of leads me nicely into my next kind of question. Just a general question. How do you think technology has affected music within your lifetime, at least? For the better, for the worse?
Yeah. I mean, definitely, I think for the better. I mean, I'm not very tech savvy in terms of recording. Like, I take a lot of direction from other people, which is something I'd like to get better at. But something that does directly affect me is just like the promoting and the social media aspect of music, because at this stage we're our own managers and promoters and stuff like that. So I mean, in a way, it makes it easy because I can just, put up an Instagram of, hey, come to my show tonight. And there's...
And everyone's plugged in.
Yeah, so everyone, people scroll past it and they see it. But then in another way, it's so huge. Everyone's on Instagram. Everyone's on YouTube. How you get
Everyone
lost.
is in other musicians you're talking about,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. So it's kind of like, how is my little album that I'm putting out gonna... And you have to find the right places to put it. And, that's...
Absolutely. That's the toughest part.
Exactly. But I mean, it's definitely for the better. And there's so much you can do on your own. And there's actually a girl from my hometown. Her name is Ava Rae. You guys should check her out. She's awesome. She also went here. And, that's someone I've been into the last few months. Oh my gosh, I thought of it now.
It's all good.
But yeah, I hope I'm friends with her family on Facebook. I hope they're listening to this. But she's awesome. I love her music. And she is not affiliated with a label at all. And that just gives you so much control over what you're releasing and your music and what's happening. So I love her music, and I just love the trajectory of where her career is going, because there's so much stuff you can do. She's, touring and releasing, and I mean, it's really nice to not be tied down to that sort of thing. And that's what the internet makes possible, because you are directly going to the people that are going to listen to your music.
You don't have to have the middleman of the record company or the manager.
No, and that's why record companies aren't what they were anymore, because it's just, you want to hear this song, I recorded it on my computer, and then on that same computer I'm giving it to you. So it's kind of like, I mean, it's awesome for us, I think, because but you just have to know how to utilize it.
Right, exactly. The technology helps out a lot too. Just doing this podcast. I have a laptop. I have a few microphones, an interface, and we're good to go. You don't have to go rent out a studio.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is very user friendly now. Absolutely. There's a lot of that you can do.
On another side of that, you get a lot of arguments that technology has hurted. I don't know if I'm using that right. Has hurt the art of creating and performing music, and maybe even the level of musicianship, because we have a lot of technology now, specifically with stuff like GarageBand or Logic or whatever, that you've got these sort of crutches that you can lean on, where it's like, oh, you didn't play that quite in time. Here, we're gonna adjust this flex time or whatever it's called. And obviously auto-tune has gotten plenty of crap, and Melodyne and all that kind of stuff. What's your opinion on that kind of stuff? Where you think it's hurt the musicianship of the general music public?
Well, I don't know if I'd say it's hurt it. I think it's kind of what I was saying before. It's a completely different style. I know when I'm making my music that I like those that breath in time. I don't really know the best way to talk about it, but like a fluctuation or just like a feeling, because more than anything, I want the emotion to travel through the music. That's what should be happening. And in pop stuff, it's such a, what you're talking about, perfect, quantizing and auto-tune and all that stuff.
Products at the end of the day.
Yeah, and that's what it's supposed to be. If you were on the dance floor and there was some weird fluctuation and you couldn't dance to it, then it's not doing its job.
That's a good point,
So that's kind of what, you have to know what it is and what the product you're going for is. And the stuff that I'm writing, you're not going to hear at a club with a huge beat behind it. And that's not what I was thinking when I wrote it.
No,
so it's kind of
context is everything, really.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel in those cases, it is good that the technology has advanced, because if those drums weren't quantized, then they would feel weird, and then it would be weird for the person.
Right, at the dance floor. You don't have to think about the beat or anything. Yeah, you just want to go and feel the music.
And then, if I don't know, if you're playing it at some place that I would play at, some restaurant, you're not going to be playing some huge pop tune that has like a driving beat. Sometimes I just want to hear a nice ballad on a piano or something. So there's really like, I don't know if it's hurting. It's just I always view it as like there's so many different categories and stuff that I don't understand. And like, I mean, I'm not in that pop world, but I totally respect it. And I think it's its own thing and something.
Yeah. No, it's a good way of looking at it. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
It's like, this is what it's kind of supposed to be. So make it what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I just know a lot of people end up complaining, like, oh, it's not as good as the music back in my day, and
yeah,
it happens a lot.
Yeah, because I mean, the thing is, like, I don't turn on like pop radio when I'm like having a bad day and want to hear a song that like for the emotion of it, a lot of it, because a lot of it is supposed to be like. And I am generalizing. There's, much more,
sure.
but
pop is a very vague term. These days.
But I mean, I do feel like there's different places for it. When you're hanging out with friends and you're in the car and you want to bump a song, or when you're really sad and you want to cry in your room. That's not, you don't go to that song.
Sure.
So,
time and place definitely affects.
Yeah.
That.
So that's how I frame it, just to not be, I don't know, so cynical about the whole thing.
Yeah. No, that's a cool perspective. Talking about kind of context, going back to your stuff, are there any interesting stories that you'd have to share about songs that you've written, of any inspiration for songs that have been kind of unusual for you, where something's come along and been like, oh, this, typical stuff, I guess, would be like, boyfriend stuff or whatever, relationship stuff, but
that's not interesting. Everyone goes through that. Yeah.
It still sells, though, so people are still buying it.
We still do it.
Yeah, any unorthodox inspirations or stories about some songs you've written?
Yeah, I actually just told this at a show that I did the other day. I think it's so funny that I wrote this song in high school that's like, it's called Leavin', and it's on the EP if anyone wants to listen to it. I was going to ask
if there's any songs that are going to be on the new album coming out. Sorry, not the EP, the live album.
EP. So you can look at it now. Sorry, I'm confusing myself. and your viewers. Yeah. Or your listeners.
Yep.
But so this song is just about like, it's like, oh, the lyrics are like, you lied, you cheated, and it's like, you're awful, I hate you. Like, it's about this relationship that it's like, oh my gosh, it's the worst thing in the world, you hurt me so bad. And I wrote it for my friend who like, this guy she like didn't ask her to prom, and it was like I'm sad, but it was like not like you cheated on, you ruined this huge relationship, like they weren't dating. Like it wasn't and I just think it's funny to look back on that, because like it's funny that no one else knows that when they hear the song, because it's like I just embellished it. Yeah, exactly. You lied and you cheated. I approached, you receded. When you cried, I believed it. You loved, now you're leaving. So
now, why did you decide to go that route instead of just making it an accurate storytelling of what actually happened? Why did you decide to kind of embellish it like that?
I think I was thinking about how she must be feeling, because in a moment like that, it does feel like that painful,
right.
Like something that small. And I think it really, when I write, it's like the lyrics and the melody happen at the same time. So I think I was just playing through it, and then the words "you lied" and "you cheated" came to mind. And I was like, okay, that's something. I feel like, and it's an aggressive song. It's gonna be like, it's very like accusatory. So it was, if I kept going with like and you kind of hurt me, and you should have asked me to prom, and we're 17. I mean, that definitely, it wouldn't have been the song that it turned out to be. So it's kind of like, it's inspired by something and then goes a completely different way, which I feel like happens with a lot of stuff that.
Your stuff personally?
Yeah. I guess because a lot of the way that I tend to write is I generally come up with a piano part first. Like the stuff that's going to be... I was
going to ask, music or vocals first?
Yeah, the stuff that's going to be on the EP that I'm recording now, I did music first, like piano first. And then generally you just start singing over it, and then eventually you get tired of just going like, so you add random words, and then those random words sometimes turn into a line that just makes sense. So then once you get that line, you kind of build the feeling around that. So I feel like that's been like generally a way that it's happened, but it can happen in many different
ways. Have you ever written lyrics first or a melody first? Usually always piano.
Yeah, usually the piano is the first thing, but I mean, there has been some occasions where there's like a lyric first. I think the one of the songs that I'm recording now, I think the first thing I wrote was just the first lyric, which was just "This boy's invincible." I had it in my notes on my phone, and I was like, that's a cool little thing, because it wasn't going to be about a superhero. So I was like, I'm going to go off that and go from there. And then the song just kind of happened.
Took a different turn?
Yeah, well, yeah. And it was also weird because I tend to write choruses first because that's where the main point of the song was.
Sure. I've heard that argument a lot, too.
Yeah.
It's like you should start with the chorus because if it's not good, then the rest of the song isn't worth writing.
Yeah, or it seems like I, just from an organizational standpoint, I'm like, I'm going to figure out what the heart of the song is, and that tends to be what's said in the chorus most of the time.
It's like your thesis statement in a paper or
kind of,
like
unless it's, something where it's like, oh, it doesn't happen till the end or that sort of thing.
Right.
But,
if it's like a linear storytelling.
Yeah, so this song, I actually wrote the verses first and had no chorus. And I was like, but I like these verses. Like, what? And then I somehow, and it happens. It's really weird. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait, I found the chorus. This is it. But like, that was one of the only songs that the chorus didn't come first. I had like the fleshed out verses, and then it was like, what do I do for the middle of the song?
Right. What's the name of that? So people, if they're looking at your album when it comes out.
Yeah, it's called The Drive.
The Drive. Okay, yeah, I've heard that one.
Yeah.
It's a great song.
Oh, thanks.
And then how did you go about doing the chorus now that you had that? Once you had the verses?
Yeah, once I found the piano part, then the lyrics and the melody came pretty fast. That's kind of when I get stuck, that's what I go to. Changing a chord, changing a melodic piano thing, and then from that, something else happens. Because I feel like the feeling is in whatever piano part I'm writing, and then something just comes out of it.
That's
awesome.
I
don't even remember. It's like you black out for a second, and then you come to when it's over. You're like, oh, I wrote a chorus. Like,
that's definitely when I've done songwriting and stuff. It's for me. What happens is after I've played a song a bunch of times, and you're like, I don't even remember writing this. Like, did I even write this? Like,
I know. Yeah,
I totally get what you mean by that blackout kind of sense.
Because if I think of like the moment when I thought of the lyric or the melody, like I couldn't tell you.
It
just
happens so quick. Too. It's like one of those things like, oh, this is great. I'm going to write this down.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're like, how did I even think of it? It's like it just drops out of the sky.
Yeah, totally.
Were there any songs either on the new record that's coming out or just in general that were really difficult to write, where it wasn't falling out of the sky kind of thing, where you really had to work at it, you had to revisit it, you had to come back and change things?
I guess there's this song that I have called it's on the live record. It's called Betty, and it's about just like a woman who's like a shut-in in her house and is afraid to leave. And that song took me a while. Like the melody and the structure and the chords and everything were all there, but I knew I wanted it to be a story, and I knew each verse had to be something new. Right. And I started with the first verse. I started with the first line, and I was like, okay, this is the first verse. Then the chorus. And then the chorus, and then the second and the third verses. I remember it took me like about 2 weeks to write them. Or to completely finish them. This was kind of the first time. Normally I'm sitting at a piano working it out, but because I already had the melody, like I was doing it like in my bed or in class or like like something somewhere random. So that one is probably one of the ones I've released that's taken the longest to write, just because of I wanted to make sure it made sense, like the story made sense, and that each verse was progressing the story somehow.
She'd watch from windows as cars drove round outside. With her thermostat up and her freezer mug, she had the perfect place to hide, And Betty, won't you leave your house tonight?
That's cool. And have you ever had writer's block before? Where you?
Oh yeah.
What do you do to get past that?
You just write some really bad songs, and you write and you write half finished songs. And something I always do when I find that I'm not writing much is I like play other people's songs. I go through my songbook of different covers things, and it's just kind of like, because you get to arrange it in your own way and think about some new things, and then sometimes that can kind of help you. And more than listening to other music, you're really playing it and you're thinking about what's going on. So
you get like one chord that's like, whoa, I never thought about that chord like that before.
Yeah, something like that. Or just, you think about lyrics that you haven't in some way. So I feel like that's something I use to combat writer's block. But yeah, I try to keep writing through it, but it's hard.
So you don't leave it alone. You're like, all right, let's just keep going, keep working through it.
Yeah, but then a lot of the stuff isn't finished. Like when I do have writer's block, it's like I would never show anybody the songs because it's like one verse that's awful.
Sure.
But it's kind of like that's
what you gotta do. Get you to the next full complete song.
Yeah, usually. I guess so. Yeah, because it feels weird to stop entirely and to not be doing. Yeah, I feel like there's just like a part of me that needs to get out. Like there's just all this energy that's I need to put it somewhere.
You don't want to bottle it up and just wait for the next thing to come. You just got to get through the stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So there's some like, half verses, half whatever that I've written that are just that. They're something that happened once and, it never...
Would you ever consider using something like that for another song? Or has that ever happened before where you've got like a little couplet or a phrase or a chord progression, you're like, wait, that would totally go with this thing I'm writing?
Yeah, it's happened more with lyrics than with
chords and stuff.
Because I feel like when I'm writing like the actual music, that all happens at a similar time. So it all generally happens at once. But some lyrics, I'll like look through my notes on my phone and be like, oh, I had this line. Like, I wonder if like that'll work here, or like maybe as a bridge idea or something.
Right.
Or if I do have writer's block, it's like, oh, when I was feeling this way, I wrote down this little sentence. Why don't I try to build something off of that? So that happens a lot with lyrics more than anything, I think.
Cool. All right, just got a few more questions here before we wrap things up. What would define success in music for you?
I guess in terms of making, like the music I made, what I would deem successful if it's really portraying the feelings that I felt when I was writing it. If it's really in every aspect, like in the lyrics, in the music, in the way I'm singing it, in the way you're watching me sing it, or in the way you're hearing it through your headphones. Like I want it to be like, I would take an emotional vocal take over like a perfectly in tune vocal take, just because like that's something that's really important to me, because like if it sounds like this is an exaggeration, but if it sounds like I'm sobbing, then fine. Like because maybe I am sobbing or something. Yeah. And
that makes sense.
So I think in that respect, it's kind of like I just want that, because I always loved hearing music, and then you just get that feeling like, oh my gosh, I feel so much right now.
Right.
And
you know what they're going through.
Yeah, like because all those things just kind of add up at the same time, and it's really hard to get all those things working at the same time, I think. So I think it would be successful, and I don't know if I've ever achieved it. It's like my goal, and I think it takes a long time to be able to make those things work all at the same time, and that's kind of when it's successful. Yeah. But if you're talking about success in terms of like career success, which might have been what you were talking about.
Yeah, it's a very open-ended question.
Yeah, I always liked, have you heard of Bo Burnham, the comedian singer?
I've seen him live.
Yeah, I know, me too, great. I love him. But he once was talking about his like level of fame, I guess, and he was like, I really enjoy it because the people who know me like me, and the people who don't know me just like they've seen, or they don't like me, they saw me and forgot about me. I'm not someone that's actively rooted against. And I feel like he has such like a devout like fan group, and same as like Ben Folds, like his like group. So I think it's just kind of, and that's people that relate to it, and they relate to so in terms of that success, that's, that would be amazing to have just like people that, and it all just goes back to the reason you're doing it. Because I'd really just I wanted to write songs just because I heard so many songs throughout my life that were like, oh my God, I want to make someone feel the way I did when I felt that way.
You want to share that feeling.
Yeah, because it's amazing how much you can how much you can accomplish with just an instrument and your
Absolutely.
thoughts.
In 3 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess that's really what the success would be for me.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, going back to what you were saying before about like you want to convey those emotions, do you usually like to be a songwriter that has like your emotions kind of upfront, like this is what this song is about, and it's pretty obvious, or do you sometimes like to hide stuff? I know there's a lot of songwriters that kind of like to be ambiguous with their lyrics and be like, well, this is a bunch of stuff, and you might know what it's about, or you might not. It sounds like you're more like you want it to be more clear,
Yeah,
and upfront.
I think I am. Yeah, I am more clear, and I think it might not be the situation is clear. Like, I don't know if you're writing like like a breakup song or something.
Right.
I'm not specifically like, this is exactly what happened. This is what I was wearing when it happened.
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
kind of like, this is the feeling. And
Right.
like I feel like the feeling should be very specific.
Okay.
And even if it's through, it doesn't have to be through like, and now I'm crying, but it could be through like, I don't know, this is hard to think of on the spot, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be specific in a lyrical way is
Okay.
kind of how I view it. It's like if you're feeling, it's hard to describe, but if you're feeling it, then it should be passed through
Right,
you.
right.
Like I feel like it's just the emotion needs to come through and out.
Right,
And that's
right,
kind
right.
of,
So you're not like trying to have someone figure out a puzzle necessarily. Like, how am I gonna feel about this song? Oh, that's what this is. Now I can feel sad.
yeah, it
You want
should
it to be like direct feel.
Yeah, and like sometimes it's like, if it's less of a clear feeling, then
Mm-hmm.
it's that can be portrayed in the song too. It's just whatever is happening, I think it just needs to be obvious.
Right,
But in a way that can be applied to individual people for
Right,
their
right,
own
right.
interpretation. Like it's not like you feel this way because of this. Like
Right.
it's more like this
See,
is the
that I
feeling,
was
take
feeling.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Does the music you write usually, you try to reflect the feeling of the lyrics in the music too? You try to match those together?
Yes, unless it's the exact opposite, which has happened. Like, because I feel like it's almost like in being the exact opposite, you know what I'm saying, that it's not like
Right,
it's
right. Very
exactly
clearly
opposite. Like,
opposite. Yeah.
so I have done that before, and I feel like it just happens naturally. It's not a conscious thing,
Right.
Or if it's like a melancholy sort of thing, or a I don't know, like a really monotonous, like pedal-driven song.
Right.
Then sometimes it has to do. It'll like the lyrical content will be unresolved or something, and it's kind of
okay,
like,
that's kinda
and that's
cool.
not even done on purpose. It's just
Right.
just kind of like this is how I'm feeling, and then it like I don't know. It kind of
That's a cool way of
it all
writing.
happens.
Just totally trying to be in touch with your emotions and just like let it all out and try to get that on paper as much as you can.
Yeah, well, I definitely think the piano or the melodic parts have substance in the story. Like that's something I've always thought about. Like someone like Peter Gabriel who writes specific like melodic parts and then his vocal part and then his lyrics and then like everything. There's just so many different things working together that all add up to like the story of what he's talking about. So that's something I've always been, or even Bruce Springsteen does it when he just
Right.
breaks into the random like na 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 na
Yeah.
na. I don't know why, but that makes me feel something.
Yeah,
Like I feel
yeah.
so much when that's happening. But
That's cool. It's a
Yeah.
very unique way of writing. I like that.
well, thanks.
Cool. And what are your musical goals for now and the future? Where do you see yourself in like 5 years? And then maybe where do you see yourself in like 20 years?
Oh God, I'm working on like the next few
I
months.
know, everyone's
Let's
favorite
see.
question. Doesn't have to be specific. Just in
Yeah,
general.
I just want to keep writing and playing, and I want to be more comfortable with recording and the idea of
Technology. and stuff.
permanence. Yeah, well, that too. But I always like live stuff because it's just so like electrifying in the moment, and it's happening, and you get to make decisions on the spot. And once they've come, they pass, and it's all in the same area. And I love the energy. But recording is something that like the permanence of it does sometimes scare me away from it. So I really hope to get more. Seeing them more as one and kind of like the same energy can be in a recording, which is, obvious, but it's something that I'm finding hard to do. But yeah, I really just more than anything really like performing, and I really like I started with me and a piano, and I will always go back to just me and a piano.
Right.
It's my favorite thing.
It's your foundation.
Yeah, and I love playing with other people. I love playing with huge bands, but when it comes down to it, I just, when I'm alone with the piano, it's one of my favorite things in the world.
Personal relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And do you think you'd want to stay in the New York area in the future? You think you want to branch out? You think you want to?
I mean, in the
goal?
near future, yes, because this is where like everyone I play with, everyone
Right.
I like,
The
my musical
connections.
relationships are, and New York City's like amazing for that sort of thing. I mean, in terms of forever, who knows? But immediately, I mean, I don't see myself leaving anytime soon, just because everything I've
It's your
set up so
network.
far is here,
Foundation.
and I like everything. So
Cool.
yeah, that's
Very
the
cool.
plan.
All right, and before we wrap up, one more time, where can people find your music and the upcoming EP as well?
Yeah, you can go to bandcamp.com/Ava Rae Heatley. You can also go to avaraeheatley.com, which has like links to like Facebook or my Facebook page and YouTube and all
All that fun stuff.
all those stuff.
Yeah. And Ray, how do you spell that?
RAE.
RAE. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that your middle name?
It is my middle name.
Okay. Is that like your artist name, Ava Rae Heatley?
Yeah, just to differentiate the difference.
No, it's got a nice cadence to it. It's got a nice rhythm.
Yeah.
Ava Rae Heatley.
Oh, well, thank you.
That's cool.
My parents liked that one, so
Yeah.
that's why they picked it.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks, Ava. Appreciate you
thank
coming
you
on
so
the
much
show.
for having me. This has been
And,
awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. And we look forward to hearing your new EP.
Oh yeah, thanks. I can't wait.
Yeah. Do we have an
Fun one.
expected release date for that?
Not yet. Hopefully, I mean 2017. Let's
Okay.
say that. So
That's
yeah,
good. That
next
gives you a
year.
lot of wiggle room there.
Yeah. Hopefully, like springish time.
Awesome.
That'd be awesome.
Cool. All right. And my name is Jared Rocco, and this has been Journey of the Sound. Thank you for listening.